Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. I want to talk about here is an idea that Gordon Brown, the last Labour Prime Minister, was writing about in The Guardian today. And it's about a possible way forward for Brexit. Now, don't get your hopes up too much. His ideas would certainly provide a meaningful way through this process at the moment. It certainly would have avoided the divisive process of Brexit had it been implemented a few years ago. But I fear it's too late. But we'll go through the proposals because they are certainly worthy. Now, on the issue of European elections, he notes that the European Council last week were not entirely dismissive of an extension without elections. It's certainly true that versions of this were discussed and agreed upon last year, but when it came down to it, some EU leaders didn't want to give us an extension at all. The Irish Prime Minister revealed that they were absolutely going to veto any extension at all because we hadn't agreed the withdrawal agreement, but they agreed to go along with it purely in solidarity with Ireland. So if they only agreed through clenched teeth to help a member state out, I can hardly imagine how they'd react if Theresa May next week, or the week after rather, goes along to seek a long extension, but one without fighting those EU elections. I personally don't see it. But what Gordon Brown is suggesting is not that Parliament carries on debating. That is fruitless. That is certainly not a plan of action. People need to be involved, and if it won't be through a second referendum, which granted would be divisive, then something that would get both sides together would be people's assemblies. Now, this is something that has been used to good effect, for example, in Ireland. It was also put forward as a concept by Caroline Lucas of the Green Party some time ago. And when it comes to the issues that many people say is wrong with our involvement in the EU, he notes that we could have done things very differently. For example, the Brexit campaign talked about taking back control of our laws. Well, what if we had an act in the UK that said that any EU law that violates our own constitutional identity could be ruled invalid in the UK by UK courts? Would that satisfy Brexiteers? Well, guess what? We can. Article 4 of the Lisbon Treaty allows us to do just this. In terms of controlling our borders, what if we registered all migrants coming into the UK, even from the EU, and when they were arrived, if they weren't in employment, then they would only be granted a short stay and would then have to leave? Well, we can do that as well. Germany and Belgium do that. What about laws preventing people being paid according to the minimum wage in their country of origin as opposed to the UK minimum wage? Well, we can do that too. France do it. The fact of the matter is that all the things that the Brexiteers think is bad about being in the EU are not features of the EU at all. They're all circumstances created by the UK government. We don't have to follow EU laws if they conflict with ours. Indeed, we don't follow all EU laws right now. I'm not even talking about the ones we have opt-outs for, like joining the Euro or Schengen. We don't have to allow complete rights to move and settle in the UK. Our government chose to because we need those migrants. Other EU nations do not because they don't. And having a proper debate in regional assemblies around the UK would help get these messages across and, much more importantly, allow people to feel that their voice is being heard. That's all most people want. If people feel that they have a voice, then there is no need to take part in votes like Brexit. These are protest votes because that level of frustration just isn't there. But unfortunately, for all the wisdom in these ideas, Parliament is not even talking about them. And they are the ones who will decide. Well, if they decide anything, the bottom line is that Parliament is not deadlocked because there is no way forward. There are dozens of ways Parliament could proceed. Some of them would lead to a form of a Brexit that would at least be legal. Some of them would lead away from Brexit. Many things are possible, but MPs at the moment are just pulling in too many directions for any movement at all to be possible. And as for the idea of the People's Assemblies, this is the last thing that the powers that be want. And I don't mean the powers that be in Parliament. The issue of immigration and laws is not why Brexit happened. Yes, these may be genuinely held beliefs of the millions who voted for it, but it was never the motivation for those really behind the campaigns. They only talked about such things because they were ways of deceiving the public. This was all about power and wealth, and there's no point in them talking about power and wealth because the masses do not have it. They want power, they want more wealth, and they won't retain or acquire any of those things by giving the people a voice. So interesting proposals, but unfortunately I fear far too late. But let me know what you think anyway. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe for further content, click the bell notification as well. And until next time, I'll see you later.